Dear Father Time by Rosemary Phipps. Sophie, a young girl living in Oxford, often struggled with punctuality. In our clock-driven society, being late causes significant issues. Sophie seldom arrived on time and couldn't understand why it was so hard. "Daddy," she would ask, "could we talk about time again?" Her father would often smile in a way adults do when they think they know more than children. "It's quite straightforward," he would say. "Split each day into hours, and each hour contains 60 minutes. "Oh, Daddy," Sophie would cry, for she knew in her heart that there was more to time than numbers marching in rows. "I know all that, but I still don't understand time. You're no help at all." One afternoon, Sophie was in the library where an old hourglass sat on a table like a guardian of time. The sand slipped, grain by grain, capturing a moment of eternity. Sophie observed until her eyes grew heavy with sleep, and that was when the magic started. When she opened her eyes again, an extraordinary figure sat in her father's favourite armchair. His hair and bushy eyebrows were the colour of clouds before the rain. His face bore wisdom and sadness, like someone who has seen too much and yet must see more. "Who are you?" Sophie asked. "I'm not," he muttered grumpily. "I am an image, an idea conjured up by people, and not a very nice one." "My name is Time," he shouted. "All you ever do is measure me. You think I'm just 8 o'clock or breakfast time, and you must be on time." He raised his eyebrows and peered at her quizzically. "You look unhappy. It is all on your face and your wrinkles," Sophie said. "And those eyebrows, do they have a life of their own?" "It's all because I'm so misunderstood," he grumbled. "So would you be. Anyway, what do you know about wrinkles? You're far too young. If humans got a hold of me, they'd give me Botox. Defy time, that's what they say. Well, I won't let them." "Oh no," said Sophie. "I don't understand clocks, and I'm nearly always late." "Your parents probably told you that you'll grow bigger and stronger as I pass." "Yes, but it would be dreadful to stay the same size forever," said Sophie. What a grumpy fellow, she thought. "Well, you're right," he said kindly. "I'm all of these things, but I'm the most misunderstood man on earth." Sophie thought he would burst into tears. "People do the most dreadful things to me. Just look at this." Time took a small wand from his pocket and waved it. A tiny woman appeared, dusting the books and muttering, "I must finish this work. I must beat time. There is never enough time." Time cringed as she slammed the books with her duster, as if he could feel the blows. Time waved his wand, and the woman vanished. "People seem to think they must beat me, kill me, waste me, fill me in, race against me, escape from me, make me and pass me. I hear them say, I just need to kill some time. I must not waste my time. I need to fill in the time. I must race against time. I have to escape from time. I must make time. I must not let time pass by." He waved his wand again, and the room was filled with people muttering these words. The noise was deafening. He took a deep breath and said, "It's all because humans think I'm a solid material. They believe they must fight me, manipulate me, or destroy me. When I try to change people's behaviour, they feel I control them, so they spend their lives trying to control me. They don't realise I'm exhausted from running all those races with them. My shoulders ache from the beatings they give me. I don't even have time to clean my clothes these days." He looked down at his shabby, dirty robes. The hem was filthy, dragged through the dust of ages, and there were food stains down the front. "You poor man," Sophie whispered sympathetically. He was still angry. "And as for the new watches they've made me into, I'm no longer round. I'm just a number. Digital, they call it. How would you like to be just a number? I wouldn't dream of calling you the 987,654,321 billionth girl in the world, would I? Damned rude. I know you are much more than that." "I'm pleased you think I'm more than just a statistic," said Sophie proudly. Time paused, ashamed that he did not know her name, so he asked her. "Sophie," she replied. "When I was little, I called myself Tozy. My brother is named William." "Well, Sophie, you're one of the few children I've ever met who hasn't just wanted to put me on her wrist to show me off to her friends." "Actually, I'd love to have a watch," she said. But my parents won't give me one until I can tell the time and be punctual. Never mind, my dear, he smiled. That will all happen in good time. They sat in silence for a while. Time rummaged through his robe, producing a bubble pipe and a bottle. He removed the lid, tipped his pipe into the solution, and began to suck and blow. Each little person, whether controlled by time or controlling time, was caught in one of those bubbles, imprisoned, forced to relive the same experience repeatedly. After a pause, he said, "Some humans call themselves scientists." "I'm very interested in science. Do tell me," Sophie said eagerly. "Yes," the old man replied. "So you should be. The problem with scientists is that they can only examine one section in isolation. Have you heard the story of the blind man who was shown an elephant for the first time and asked to describe what it looked like?" "No, do tell me." Sophie thought the old man was far more interesting than other grown-ups she had met. At least he took the time to speak to her properly. "Well," he said, "the first blind man approached the elephant, grasped its tail, and exclaimed, 'The elephant is a long, thin animal, with a few whiskers at the end.'" Sophie started to laugh. "The second blind man stroked its belly and said, 'The elephant is a flat animal with rough skin.'" Sophie laughed even harder. "The third blind man approached the elephant, held its tusk, and said, 'The elephant is a smooth, curved, and hard creature with a pointed end.'" By then, Sophie laughed so hard that even Time started to smile. "What happened next?" asked Sophie. "Each man was so convinced that he knew exactly what the elephant looked like that they began to fight each other." "What a funny story," said Sophie. Time looked troubled again. "Now you see what scientists are doing to me," he said. "To understand me, they chop me up into pieces. First, they say I am years, then months, then days, then hours, then seconds, milliseconds, then chronons, which are 10 by 2 by 2 to the 23rd of a second. I've even begun to doubt who I am. Imagine that, if I were to understand you, I chopped you up into little pieces." "Oh no," gasped Sophie. "That's horrid." Although she felt sorry for Time, she quickly added, "Well, we have to study the parts of something to understand the whole thing." "Yes," he replied, "but there are other ways. So far, no one has discovered them." He paused, lost in thought. Then he said, "I can go backwards and make you think of things that happened to you long ago. Memories, good memories, bad memories, all your lost and forgotten memories. Can you remember being a baby, or being carried in your mother's tummy before you were born?" "No," Sophie said. "I have never even tried to." "Why?" he asked. "I don't know. Things vanish from my mind, as if they never happened." He replied, "Memories are like days turning into night. We can't see them any longer, but it's always daytime somewhere else." "I hadn't considered it that way before," Sophie remarked. "Time passes and the days continue to change, each bringing new memories. Some days fade away and the memories fade with them. But if you befriend me, I will return whenever you wish. You might feel the sand on your feet, the breeze in your hair, and smell the salty sea in the air during a holiday you had years ago by the seaside. Or imagine cuddling in your mother's arms when you were a child. Can you picture how wonderful that would be? When life becomes tough, happy memories can be like opening a chest full of treasure, making you feel great about yourself and others." "But what about the bad memories?" Sophie pulled a grim face. "I wouldn't want to remember them." The old man replied, "But you must. You must not pick and choose what to remember and what to forget. The memories are there to remind you and will keep returning till you can forgive and forget." "But why?" she said. "What's the point of making myself unhappy again?" "So you won't make the same mistakes again. It's obvious. I'm surprised that a clever girl like you hadn't considered that. Remember not to repeat it if it was your fault, but please forgive yourself if it was someone else's fault. It's better to forgive and forget. You do this for yourself. Don't let the memory of it grind you down. We have more control over our memories than we think." "I suppose you're right, Time," she said. "Though I must admit I don't like that side of you." "I'd love to make real things go backwards, not just memories," said Time. "I'm working on that trick right now." "I don't understand," said Sophie. He answered, "Can you imagine how wonderful it would be if there were a war and I could make the bullets go right back into the guns which fired them? All the people who had been killed would stand up and live again. And your granny could live forever. Can you imagine her growing younger instead of older? I could make her into a baby again. What a thought, Sophie said. But if we never die, what about overpopulation? Oh dear, he sighed. Something more to consider. Thank you for reminding me. Time seemed to be getting agitated again. But then someone would put that side of me into a bottle and sell me, calling me the elixir of life or something like that. Making money is what the world is mostly about these days. Time is money, I hear them say. They don't seem to understand they can also have empty, peaceful days doing nothing. Combine them. Never allow yourself a one-sided life. Sophie was excited. Do you know how to unscramble an egg? She asked. No. How? Asked Time. You just go backwards, she laughed. That's a good one, he said, laughing. I can make all the wind-blown apples jump back onto the branches, and tears go back into people's eyes as well. And if I cut myself, I'd hear myself cry before I did it. That way I could drop the knife before hurting myself. They both laughed. But that's only taking things back a short way, said Sophie. What would happen if we went far back, hundreds of years ago? I don't think I'd like that very much. Well, we could pick the time we were happiest and just keep going backwards and forwards, said Time. But we would never discover anything new, Sophie said. Oh, all right then, the old man said, annoyed at being corrected. I said it was a new trick. I'll have to do some more work on it. Time, if you could make memory go backwards, why can't you make it go forwards as well? She asked. But I can, he said. It's one of my favourite tricks. I love hearing people exclaim, I'm sure I've been here before, or haven't we met before, when they meet someone new for the first time. And before they can figure it out, I vanish and leave them puzzled. Father Time shrugged. The French even call it déjà vu. Why do you do all this to humans? Sophie asked. I do it to teach them that I am not what they think I am. There are other parts of me that they need to understand. I can be small and quick or tall and long. Have you ever wondered why it takes longer to reach the seaside than to come back? That's one of my tricks. It should be the other way round. I can make time stretch or shrink. A day spent alone can feel like it drags. If you have a deadline, I race past. And I always slow down the days for young people, especially in summer, so they remember the sunshine. But when humans get older, I speed up. You've probably heard your granny say, the days seem to tumble away like autumn leaves blown by the wind. Now in full flow, Father Time began to boast. His body language shifted, and his bent shoulders straightened, like soldiers. Time, he said, is relative. Each human being's perception is different. For instance, people never agree on when an event occurred or how long it takes. They even disagree on how to describe the motion of a bouncing ball. I can make difficult times seem to last longer than they actually do. If you're terrified, I'll make the seconds feel longer. And if you're in danger of death, I'll vanish. Those moments are timeless. That's horrid, Sophie said. Humans blame their misfortunes on someone else, he said. They need more time to realise this isn't always true. Adam blamed God for putting apples on the tree, and then he blamed Eve for eating one, and Eve blamed the serpent for tempting her. Anyway, I'm getting old now, and I sometimes wake up in a cranky mood. I get bad-tempered. Sophie apologised. I'm sorry, Time. I don't want to upset you, but you said humans blame others for their problems. Isn't it up to you to improve things for yourself? We know we are the creators of our lives and are personally responsible for the way we respond to what happens. You don't seem to understand, Sophie, he said patiently. I'm not like humans. People need to discover me for what I am before I can change. All I can do is play my tricks and make them ask questions so they might see me as I am one day in all my glory. I can't tell you how frustrating this is. Can you imagine all the hanging around I have to do? I need another meeting with the powers that be to tell them how I feel again. I know what they'll say. That's how things are, Time. You must work within the system. One day humans will understand your secret. Have patience. I'm fed up with being patient, and one day I'll lose it. He was getting excited and sounding like his bubble pipe. Don't brood on it, Time, said Sophie. I'm sorry I brought the matter up. She patted his bony shoulder kindly. He smiled. That was thoughtful of you to pat my shoulder. It's a distressing business, especially as I know how tough life can be without my special secret. He reached out to stroke her hand. A scythe from nowhere suddenly clattered to the floor. What's that? Sophie cried. Just one of my props, he said. What do you mean, props? Sickles and scythes, nasty sharp things that I'm always hurting myself on. Sophie saw the bandages on his fingers. Time lifted his robe to show the scratches on his legs. It is all part of my image. Humans like to compare themselves to nature and the corn waiting to be reaped when ripe. But they're wrong. Nature has its seeds, and it continues. Time doesn't end either. Do you understand that? Sophie said, I can't say I do. We all die, don't we? I don't, said Time. It's a paradox. Most humans believe that things are black or white, good or bad, never both, or neither. We're all a bit of both, and more than both, but they don't like accepting that. Sophie got it. That's difficult. I don't like to think I can be bad, she said. Here's a riddle. What dies but goes on living? That side of me is called eternity. I'm here when you're alive, and here when you're dead. But I can also disappear completely. Disappear completely? Exclaimed Sophie. What do you mean? The clocks always keep ticking, don't they? Yes, he said. The clocks tick, night turns into day, and the seasons change. But deep inside you, where it matters most, I vanish completely. When this occurs, I can fill you with the warmest and most beautiful feelings you'll ever experience. A warm glow of love in your heart. A wonderful connection to everything in the universe. Love for others and yourself. And the sound you hear is of one hand clapping. Nothing. Silence and stillness. Some people call it meditation, or mindfulness, or prayer. Some call it being touched by the hand of... He was tempted to use the G word, but paused, saying, There's no name for it. It depends on your tradition. Do you know about that kind of eternal time? He spoke softly, with wonder in his voice. Not many people know about that side of me. That's why I'm so terribly misunderstood. Goodness, Sophie said. This is why I find it so hard to tell you and be on time. She smiled because she remembered something. She pointed to the yew tree at the bottom of the garden. That's my favourite tree. Sometimes I climb it and sit on a branch at the top, and then I feel... No, I can't quite explain it. Please try, Sophie, for my sake. I need to know. It feels as if the entire world drifts through me. The clouds, the birds, and the trees all seem to be part of me. My skin no longer seems to hold me. My bones do not need to support me. I can't even feel myself sitting on the rough branch. My thoughts simply vanish. They melt away like snowflakes. Everything inside me remains still. It's as if I no longer exist. Yet I know I do. I'm alive in a different way, and I feel a loving connection with all things. Go on, Time said excitedly. The powers promised this. Feeling loved inside and loving the world and people outside. With feelings like this, we could create a different world without wars and pollution. Sophie, encouraged, went on. The world becomes still as well. Clouds hang motionless in the sky. The birds seem to suspend themselves in flight. Yet their twittering becomes so loud that it makes me realise what a terrible clatter of thoughts there is inside me, taking me nowhere and wasting my time. I'm not able to hear the real world and the beautiful songs nature sings. There we go again, muttered Time. I'm being wasted again. Sophie explained. It is like a tape track of thoughts inside my head. It goes around like a roundabout at the fair, but no one can stop it, so I can't get off. What does this tape track say? Asked Time. Who likes me and who doesn't? I'm too fat, too thin. And then I can't stop thinking about people who don't like me and how they behave, over and over again. Time sighed. But you have your safe place. Your yew tree at the top of the yew tree. Most children find that joy doesn't depend on anything, just taking pleasure in all things and being alive. And then humans grow up and they lose it. He raised his eyebrows and shook his head. They become tangled in a web of noisy thoughts that drag them down and take their joy away. A tape track that tells them what to think. A treadmill that takes them into a divided world of separated me and you, us and them. And then they find enemies and have wars. Time paused, and he breathed in deeply. What else happens? Come on, tell me. Sophie sighed. Time could see that she was now thinking deeply. He waited. I don't think there's much else, said Sophie finally. I just wonder how long this feeling lasts. It could be minutes, it could be hours. I just don't know. But I know I always feel happy after coming down from my tree for a long time. Loved and full of kindness. For myself and other people. Time smiled contentedly. She explained a most precious mystery to him. proof that love arising from those timeless moments is the binding and connecting force that shapes and unifies all life. But I'm still bewildered, she said. This kind of time and clock time don't seem to match. It's as if I must choose which kind of time I'll live by, split into two worlds, one of being punctual and the other of peace. That's why I can't tell the time, or even be on time. No need to do that at all, said Time kindly. But what can I do? She asked. You know, there are different kinds of time. Different kinds of time? I've never looked at it that way. Well, it's high time you did. She smiled. I've never told anybody about this before. That's part of the problem with the world today. Nobody wants to discuss that side of me at all. They think people would say that they were crazy. That's why I'm so terribly misunderstood. My parents say I'm daydreaming, she said. It irritates them. Stop daydreaming, Sophie, they say. But daydreaming is good. It's little thoughts that drift off and make pictures in my mind. They say, Sophie's gone off to the top of her yew tree again. No, that is not daydreaming, Sophie. It's a gift we give humans when they are born. Many lose it as they grow up and spend their time planning the future or regretting the past. This aspect of time relates to the here and now. The present moment is hidden somewhere between planning what we'll do tomorrow and remembering what happened yesterday. When you find it, you must look after it very carefully. It's a pity that humans are born with this gift, the song of silence and the feeling of unity and love, but as they get older, they only come to know it by its absence. He paused and said slowly, Growing up means taking your yew tree moments into your other life. It means feeling how you feel, telling the time and being on time simultaneously. Time straightened himself as if giving a lecture. Life is like a river. It's not straight. There are whirlpools, rapids and waterfalls. It's always in flux. An old friend said, Nobody steps into the same river twice. Why are you telling me this? She asked. Be quiet and listen. His voice became slow and grave. Sometimes you may feel like a cork bobbing on the waves, swept along by the currents of fortune and forced to the bottom by the tides of misfortune, thrown out into the banks to dry in the hot sun. And when this happens... Sophie interrupted. What do you mean when? Time replied. No one is spared. Once you are born, there's no choice. So what do I do? Sophie asked. You return to the peace and love that grows in your heart when you climb to the top of your yew tree. This is your safe place. But I may not live here any longer. There may not be a yew tree. Your yew tree will always exist. It is eternal, so you can visit it whenever you want. I'll show you how. Time gently laid his bony hands on her shoulders. The years will change you. Your body will change. Your reactions may get stronger. Sometimes you may feel that things are getting out of control. We can't feel great all the time. Thinking of everything changing and not knowing what would happen to her made her anxious. Time saw this and said, You are frightened. How can you tell? Well, he replied, your jaw is clenched, you're breathing unevenly, and your eyes look more like snakes. He held up her chin with his left hand. I will be your guide and tell you what to do. He asked her to sit opposite him. Place your hands in mine and close your eyes. Breathe in deeply and then let your breath out slowly. Follow my breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out. Take a little longer breathing out. Sophie did so. Is this comfortable? Time asked gently. Some like to go back to their safe place, like your yew tree. It's fine. They sat there quietly, breathing in and out. Keep going, said Time. I'll tell you when to stop. 15 minutes passed. How are you feeling now? Time asked. My head was full of nasty thoughts. Ah, Time sighed. The thought track. You've allowed the thought track to capture your mind. Some people have long thought tracks that go back into the past, starting with, you are a naughty girl, and then it goes on to, so-and-so doesn't like me, I get bad marks at school. I can't have the dress I want to wear. The unlucky ones cannot control their thought tracks. They think it is being honest to repeat everything they think and hear about other people. I've even heard one person proudly say, I don't do polite. It is like listening to diarrhea in public. Sophie cried out, How do I stop it? Stop? Time cried. It never stops. I could write a story called Captured by the Thought Track. These thoughts are like long curly hairs taken from the beard of a giant. No one can straighten them out. No matter how hard they pull, they always turn curly again. And no one can ever stop these unwanted mutterings of the mind, blasts of nonsense from loudspeakers that lie in your head. All the noise from advertising, news, and the rest of our conditioning. And now, algorithms and social media. I've made a special note on them at the end of the book. What is conditioning? Sophie asked. Time replied, conditioning is how your brain learns to connect things through experience. Think of it this way. Have you ever noticed that when you hear the ice cream van music, you instantly feel excited and crave ice cream? That's conditioning. Your brain has learned that ice cream van sound equals delicious ice cream. So simply hearing the sound makes you happy and excited. Time goes on. And you learn from the consequences of your actions. Do something good and you receive a reward. Do something wrong and you are told off. We learn much from the world around us, but we also have wisdom that rises from deep within. Time raised his voice. Your brain is constantly learning these patterns, how to think, feel and behave, even when you are unaware of them. This is how we develop many of our habits and automatic reactions. I do not know how young people manage these days with the persistent thought tape and how the algorithms pick up how they think, feel and behave, repeat this back to them on the apps and consequently trap them in a view of themselves and the world, from which they sometimes feel there is no escape. Sophie exclaimed. And some of the thoughts give me strange feelings. My heart flutters and my stomach feels like there's a butterfly in it. I feel panicked and unwanted. I don't know which came first, the feelings or the thoughts. And sometimes it comes out in my behaviour. I know what you feel, Time replied. The damage to people is enormous. We don't believe all the films and stories we read are true, yet when the mind weaves all these thoughts together, we believe them. Then we feel trapped. We become servants to the creations our minds have produced. Well, Sophie said, some thoughts are true. Like what? Time asked. Give me an example. Like when I overeat. Well, Time answered, your stomach is telling your brain that enough is enough. That's different. He hesitated. Unless you're just plain greedy. And that's not all. Your other senses feed into the thought track. Touch, sight, hearing, taste and smell. And then there are the other senses you might know about. These include your sense of balance, your sense of space around you, your ability to feel heat and cold, and your awareness of your heart beating and your breathing. All your senses can only be felt in the present moment. This is why, when you concentrate on them, they provide a perfect anchor for staying present. And memory, of course. Our senses tell us how to navigate the world, but they don't tell us all the same story. Every human being understands the world differently. Your senses connect to your brain, your thought track and your heart, which beats more slowly when you're at peace, and you'll be more aware of everything and everyone around you. Yes, Sophie replied. I know a fast-beating heart and a racing mind are horrible. Time continued. The senses, when you use them properly and know how to concentrate, can also take you to a place of peace and unity, taking joy from being alive. I've watched you do this when you paint and dance, and when you eat, and when you play the piano and listen to music, when you are thinking about a maths problem and writing an essay, when you play football, when you sit on your grandmother's lap and listen to her read. Have you thrown your arms around a tree, danced with the rain sprinkling drops on your face, felt the wind in your hair, run barefoot through dew-covered grass, been captured by a sunrise and a sunset and walked through the moonbeams at night? It's the attention we give each moment that matters. The hardest task is to give total attention to the present moment. Give your heart to it. Bring that peace and concentration into life. Even when I'm washing the dishes? Even then, Time laughed. Even when I'm with someone unpleasant? Time replied, even more so. You have to watch your feelings, the sensations in your body and your thoughts. Sometimes you have to watch how you react to their smell. Try not to say things you regret later. I don't think I could hurt someone else. I'd feel so sad. So sad, Sophie said. A tear was in her eye. The usual smile had disappeared. You already know that humans must learn to create themselves from the nasty and good bits we share. You don't do it by being negative, judgmental and unkind. There is always a choice. Time paused and added, or by thinking you are better or worse off than anyone else. The power to live in the present moment and experience the love and unity of life is something we all share, where we are all equal. Father Time smiled. The preparation I'm giving you will help you manage yourself and your reactions to people and events. Follow my advice, and you can stay calm and not let what happens to you control your feelings. We will learn how to live in the moment and not in the stories we tell about ourselves and others. Choose your friends and thoughts carefully, and don't be at the mercy of whoever enters your life or whatever enters your mind, or what they might put into your mind. Just observe your thoughts and consider what they say. Distance yourself from them and let them drift away. Create a mind that becomes a still pond, and watch out for the ripples. If something true about yourself emerges, write it down and address it later, and remember to note how it made you think, feel and behave. Thank you for explaining this to me, Sophie whispered. I will try hard to follow it. Time said, I recall another old friend saying, my life was filled with terrible misfortunes, most of which never happened. Sadly, I forgot his name. Please remember what our thoughts often create imaginary problems. Time smiled and asked, You are my friend, aren't you, Sophie? Yes, Time, she said shyly. I believe you're the most wonderful girl I've ever met. We have an understanding. Remember, what I have taught you is like brushing your teeth. You need to do this every day. Train your mind. How long for? Sophie asked. As long as you feel, Time replied. Stop when you are ready to face the day. And what about those true you tree times? They will come uninvited. Don't get caught up in negative thoughts. Be mindful when peace and love and kindness come to you. Does that mean they are always there? Asked Sophie. Father Time replied, Yes, they are always there. Humans must learn to wait and watch for them. They come and go. It is the nature of impermanence. Why not join the club of waiters and watchers? Father Time removed the small gold badge with 0 in the centre from his gown and pinned it on her dress just above her heart. Sophie chose to remember the occasion as a grand presentation. Sophie was delighted and said, Time, can I call you Father Time? He pondered. People have called me that before, but usually with a rather grim look. I don't think I'd mind if you promised to look happy when you said it. Do you think you could? I'm sure I could. Thank you, Father Time. Dear Father Time. She leant forward and puckered her lips to kiss him. The hourglass dropped suddenly with a clatter onto the floor. Sophie looked up. Father Time had vanished. Goodness me, said Sophie. I must have fallen asleep. What time is it? She went into the kitchen to check the clock. 3:30, she said aloud. I had better get to my piano lesson. From that moment onwards, Sophie was always punctual and had no difficulty telling the time. She now wears a lovely round wristwatch that is not digital at all. She remembers her conversation with a kind-faced older man with enormous eyebrows, whom she had called Dear Father Time. Every morning, Sophie sits on her bed, preparing for the day. In her mind, she climbs into the branches of her yew tree and sits in her safe place. She then focuses on her breathing. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She watches her thought track, allows the unwanted thoughts to drift away, and waits for the peace that surpasses all understanding. She waits for love for herself and others to descend upon her. She notes what she needs to consider further. She gets out of bed, brushes her teeth, and prepares for the day. Every morning, she pins over her heart, the place where true wisdom lives, her small gold badge. The perfect circle with the words, loving kindness. She makes sure she keeps that same sense of peace throughout the day. And now Sophie knows the secret. Sometimes she dances with Father Time in the quiet of her yew tree, and sometimes she dances with her friends around the maypole, all of them moving in the eternal now. Sophie discovered how to dance between the world of ticking clocks and eternal moments. Each morning, as reliably as the sun rises in the east, she sits on her bed and sees herself climbing her yew tree to gather the wisdom that time offers. And when she had become a grown-up, she continued to dance with Father Time. Meanwhile, Father Time remains unseen, smiling and nodding in approval of his disciples' growth. Sophie recognised that time is the silent breath of the eternal moment. While clocks, diaries and calendars exist, one must navigate between these worlds. It awaits those who are attentive enough to uncover its secrets. Wisdom does not arrive hurriedly, but in the calm, quiet moments where love and peace dwell. Father Time, now unseen, smiles to himself. A job well done. Let's see how she manages. I shall come back again and show her how other cultures use other senses to anchor themselves in the present moment. Each culture the same truth, different doors, the same room. The end.